Lisa had dreamed of this moment her entire life. Standing in the pristine white corridors of the space station, she could barely contain her excitement. After 15 years of studying alien life forms from a distance, she was finally about to meet them face to face. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her blue uniform jacket for the 10th time that morning. The space station hummed quietly around her. Through the massive viewing windows, Earth spun slowly below, looking like a beautiful blue marble against the black of space. But today, Lisa's attention wasn't on her home planet. Today was the day that would change everything for humanity. 3 weeks ago, the impossible had happened. A ship had appeared at the edge of their solar system. Not a human ship, but something else entirely, something alien. The world had held its breath as the ship slowly made its way toward Earth, broadcasting messages of peace in perfect English. Nobody knew how they had learned the language, but their intentions seemed clear. They wanted to talk. Lisa was one of only 12 scientists chosen for this historic first meeting. She specialized in understanding how different species communicate, which made her perfect for the job. At least, that's what her boss had told her when he delivered the news that changed her life forever. The elevator doors opened with a soft whisper, and Lisa stepped inside. Her heart pounded as the elevator carried her up to the diplomatic wing of the station. This was really happening. After years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, she was about to get her answer. When the doors opened again, Lisa found herself in a room unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls seemed to shimmer and shift, adapting to create the most comfortable environment possible. The lighting was soft and warm, nothing like the harsh fluorescent lights she was used to in laboratories back on Earth. Commander Jackson stood near the entrance, his weathered face serious but kind. He had been leading space missions for 20 years, but even he looked nervous today. "Ready for this, Dr. Martinez?" he asked. Using her formal title, Lisa nodded, not trusting her voice. Through the transparent doors ahead, she could see movement. They were here. The aliens were actually here. The doors slid open silently, and Lisa got her first look at humanity's new neighbors. Her breath caught in her throat. They were nothing like what she had imagined, yet somehow exactly what she had hoped for. The beings were tall, much taller than humans, with long limbs that moved with incredible grace. Their skin looked like it was made of starlight itself, shifting between different colors as they moved. Sometimes it was silver, sometimes gold, sometimes a deep blue that reminded Lisa of the ocean depths. Their faces were elegant and angular, with large eyes that seemed to hold wisdom older than human civilization. There were 5 of them in the room, all wearing flowing garments that seemed to be made from the same shifting material as their skin. 4 stood in formal positions near the far wall, clearly important officials. But one was different. She was younger than the others, Lisa could somehow tell, while the elder aliens maintained perfect posture and serious expressions. This one looked around the room with obvious curiosity. Her skin flickered between different shades more rapidly, as if she couldn't quite control her emotions the way the others could. Commander Jackson began the formal introductions, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The lead alien, whose skin remained a constant deep purple, spoke in response. Their voice was like music, rising and falling in patterns that were almost hypnotic. The translation device on the table between them worked perfectly, converting their melodious language into clear English. "We are honored to meet the people of Earth," the leader said. "I'm Council Member Zareketh, and these are my colleagues." One by one, the aliens introduced themselves. Their names were complex and beautiful, full of sounds that Lisa had never heard before. But when they reached the youngest member of their group, something changed. "I am Mirasil," she said, and her skin flashed bright gold for just a moment. "I study cultures and languages. I have been learning about your people for many cycles." Lisa found herself stepping forward without thinking. There was something about this alien that drew her in. Maybe it was the way Mirasil's eyes seemed to sparkle with the same curiosity that Lisa felt. Maybe it was how she kept glancing at the windows to look at Earth below, just like Lisa often did when she worked late at the observatory. "I study cultures too," Lisa said, surprised by her own boldness. I've been trying to understand how different species might communicate. Miracille's skin brightened again. Cycling through several colors quickly, the other aliens exchanged what might have been glances, though it was hard to tell with their large, expressive eyes. You study communication between species? Miracille asked, her translated voice filled with excitement. But you have only known one species until now. Lisa laughed, feeling some of her nervousness fade away. That's exactly the problem. I've been preparing for this my whole career, but I never had anyone to practice with. Over the next few hours, the formal diplomatic meetings continued. Treaties were discussed, scientific exchanges planned, and cultural protocols established. But Lisa found herself drawn again and again to conversations with Miracille. The young alien was endlessly curious about human customs. She asked about Earth's seasons, about human art, about the way people showed friendship. Lisa answered as best she could, amazed by how easy it was to talk with someone from another world. 3 days passed in a blur of meetings and discoveries. Lisa learned that Miracille's people came from a planet with 3 suns, where the seasons lasted 4 years instead of months. She learned that they communicated as much through the colors of their skin as through their voices. She learned that, despite coming from completely different worlds, they shared the same love of learning and discovery. On the 3rd evening, Lisa found Miracille in the observation lounge, staring out at the stars. The alien's skin was a soft silver color, which Lisa had learned meant contentment or peaceful thinking. Your planet is very beautiful, Miracille said without turning around. So much blue and green. My world is more red and gold. I'd love to see it someday, Lisa replied, moving to stand beside her new friend at the window. Miracille turned to look at her, and for the first time, Lisa noticed something almost human in her expression. Friend, she said slowly, as if testing the word. Is that the right word for what we have become? Lisa smiled warmly. Yes, I think it is. That's when it happened. In a moment of pure human instinct, Lisa stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Miracille in a gentle hug. It was the kind of hug she would give any friend who seemed happy or accomplished something special. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Miracille's skin flashed brilliant gold, so bright that Lisa had to blink. The alien went completely still in her arms, not pulling away but not responding either. Her skin continued to pulse with golden light, brighter than Lisa had ever seen. Lisa stepped back, worried she had done something wrong. Are you okay? Did I hurt you? Miracille stared at her with those large, expressive eyes. Her skin was still glowing, though the gold was now mixed with swirls of deep red and blue. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Lisa, she said. And there was something different in the way she said the name. Something that made Lisa's heart skip a beat. Though she couldn't understand why, the moment stretched between them, filled with a tension that Lisa didn't recognize. She had no way of knowing that with one simple, friendly gesture, she had just begun something that would change not only her life, but the relationship between 2 entire species. In the silence of the observation lounge, with Earth turning slowly below them and the stars watching from above, Lisa and Miracille stood facing each other across a divide that was much larger than either of them realized. The next morning, Lisa woke up feeling confused. Something had changed between her and Miracille after that hug, but she couldn't figure out what. The alien had acted strange. For the rest of the evening, her skin glowing softly even when they said goodnight. Lisa had assumed it was just excitement about their growing friendship. But when she arrived at the morning briefing, she immediately noticed something different. Miracille was waiting for her outside the conference room, which had never happened before. The alien's skin was cycling through gentle waves of gold and silver, colors that Lisa had learned meant happiness and anticipation. Good morning, Lisa, Miracille said, and there was something musical in her voice that hadn't been there before. I brought something for you. Lisa blinked in surprise as Miracille held out a small, crystalline object. It was beautiful, about the size of her palm, and seemed to glow with its own inner light. When Lisa took it, The crystal made a soft, pleasant humming sound. "It's gorgeous," Lisa said, genuinely amazed. "What does it do?" "It sings when you touch it," Mirasil explained, her skin brightening. "On my world, we use them to show appreciation for someone special." Lisa smiled and carefully tucked the crystal into her jacket pocket. "Thank you so much. That's really thoughtful of you." The reaction was immediate. Mirasil's skin flashed so brightly that several other humans in the corridor turned to look. The alien seemed to sway slightly, as if Lisa's words had physically affected her. "You accept it," Mirasil whispered, and Lisa could hear wonder in her translated voice. "Of course I accept it," Lisa laughed. "It's a beautiful gift from a friend." Throughout the morning meetings, Lisa noticed that Mirasil kept finding excuses to be nearby. When Lisa was reviewing cultural exchange documents, Mirasil appeared with offers to help translate difficult concepts. When Lisa went to the cafeteria for lunch, Mirasil was already there, saving her a seat at the best table by the windows. "You don't have to help me with everything," Lisa said gently as Mirasil insisted on carrying her lunch tray. "You're an important diplomat. I'm sure you have more important things to do." "Nothing is more important," Mirasil replied immediately, then seemed surprised by her own words. Her skin flushed a deep red color that Lisa had never seen before. The strange behavior continued throughout the week. Every morning, Lisa found a new gift waiting outside her quarters. Sometimes it was another singing crystal, sometimes a flower-like plant that changed colors in the light, sometimes a small piece of art that seemed to move and shift when she looked at it. Lisa was touched by the thoughtfulness, even though it seemed excessive. On her world, friends didn't usually give each other gifts every single day. But maybe this was normal for Mirasil's people. She made a mental note to ask about gift-giving customs during their next cultural exchange session. What puzzled Lisa even more were the movements. Mirasil had started doing something with her hands whenever Lisa was around. They were graceful gestures, almost like a dance, with her long fingers moving in complex patterns through the air. Sometimes the movements were slow and flowing, sometimes quick and intricate. "That's beautiful," Lisa said one afternoon as she watched Mirasil perform one of these hand dances during a break in their meetings. "Is it part of your language?" Mirasil's skin immediately brightened to gold. "You think it's beautiful?" "Absolutely. It looks like poetry in motion." The alien's hands moved even faster after that, the gestures becoming more elaborate and complex. Lisa found herself mesmerized by the graceful movements, though she couldn't understand what they meant. The other aliens in the delegation had started acting strangely too. Lisa noticed them watching her and Mirasil with what seemed like concern. Sometimes they would have quick conversations in their own language, speaking too fast for the translation devices to keep up. Their skin colors would shift to darker shades during these discussions. Lisa decided to ask Commander Jackson if he had noticed anything unusual. "Now that you mention it," he said, frowning thoughtfully, "the delegation leader asked me yesterday if we had specific protocols for personal relationships during diplomatic missions. I told him we keep things professional, of course, but he seemed troubled by something." Personal relationships? Lisa felt a flutter of worry. Why would he ask about that? "I'm not sure. Maybe they have different rules about friendship than we do." Lisa tried to push her concerns aside. Cultural differences were expected during first contact. She was probably reading too much into things. But the situation became even more confusing when Mirasil started appearing wherever Lisa went on the station. If Lisa decided to visit the observation deck after dinner, Mirasil would somehow already be there. If Lisa went to the library to research alien biology, she would find Mirasil waiting with helpful books and suggestions. "Do you have some kind of schedule of my activities?" Lisa asked one evening, half joking. Mirasil's skin went through a rapid series of color changes. "I'd like to be where you are," she said simply. "Is that wrong?" The honest vulnerability in her voice made Lisa's heart ache. "No, it's not wrong. I enjoy spending time with you too. I just want to make sure you're not neglecting your own duties." "My duties are not as important as—" Mirasil stopped mid-sentence, her skin flashing red again. as important as what? As important as learning about human friendship, Miracil finished, but Lisa could tell that wasn't what she had originally intended to say. The breaking point came a week later. Lisa had been feeling overwhelmed by all the attention and gifts, even though she appreciated Miracil's friendship. When she found the alien waiting outside her quarters again that morning, looking tired and anxious, Lisa's protective instincts kicked in. "You look exhausted," Lisa said gently. "Are you sleeping okay?" Miracil's skin went pale, almost transparent. "I find it difficult to rest when I am uncertain about what? About whether my feelings are being received correctly." Lisa stepped forward and, without thinking, wrapped Miracil in another warm hug. "Hey, you don't have to worry about that. We're friends, good friends. That's not going to change." The reaction was even more dramatic than the first time. Miracil's skin exploded into brilliant gold light, so bright that Lisa had to close her eyes. When she opened them again, the alien was staring at her with an expression of pure shock and something else that Lisa couldn't identify. "Lisa," Miracil breathed, "you continue to—" She didn't finish the sentence, but her skin continued to pulse with golden light, brighter and more intense than Lisa had ever seen. In the distance, Lisa could hear rapid footsteps and urgent voices, speaking in the alien's musical language. Something was definitely happening, something bigger than just cultural differences. Lisa was beginning to realize that her simple gestures of friendship might mean something completely different to Miracil's people, but she had no idea just how different those meanings really were. The crisis began on a Tuesday morning that started like any other. Lisa was reviewing translation protocols when she heard a soft knock on her door. She opened it to find Miracil standing there, but something was different. The alien's skin was glowing with colors Lisa had never seen before, deep purples mixed with shimmering silver, creating patterns that seemed to move across her body like living art. "I have something very important to give you," Miracil said, and her voice trembled with emotion even through the translation device in her hands. She held what looked like a flower, but it was unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. The petals seemed to be made of pure light, shifting between blue and white in gentle waves. As Lisa watched, the flower pulsed with a rhythm that reminded her of a heartbeat. "It's absolutely beautiful," Lisa breathed, reaching out to touch one of the glowing petals. The moment her finger made contact, the entire flower burst into brilliant light, so bright it filled the entire corridor. "You must understand what this means," Miracil said urgently, pressing the flower into Lisa's hands. "This bloom only lights up for one person in an entire lifetime. It has chosen you." Lisa cradled the extraordinary flower carefully. "Chosen me for what?" Miracil's skin cycled through rapid color changes. To be the one who completes my heart." The words hung in the air between them, and Lisa felt something cold settle in her stomach. Complete her heart. That sounded like much more than friendship. But before she could ask what Miracil meant, the alien had already turned and walked away, leaving Lisa standing in her doorway holding the glowing flower. Lisa spent the rest of the morning trying to research the significance of light flowers in alien culture, but the databases had very little information. All she could find were mentions of bonding ceremonies and life partnerships, which only made her more confused and worried. That evening was the monthly diplomatic dinner, a formal event where both species shared food and discussed cultural exchanges. Lisa decided to wear the flower in her hair as a way to honor Miracil's gift. It seemed like the polite thing to do, and the flower was so beautiful that several humans complimented her on it. But the moment Lisa walked into the dining hall, everything went wrong. The elder aliens, who usually maintained perfect composure, rose from their seats so quickly that their chairs fell backward. Their skin turned colors Lisa had never seen before, deep blacks and dark reds that seemed to pulse with alarm. The leader, Zerketh, stared at Lisa with wide eyes, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Miracil was sitting at the far end of the table, and when she saw Lisa with the flower in her hair, her skin exploded into such brilliant gold that it was like looking at a small sun. She made a sound that the translation device couldn't interpret, something between a gasp and a song. "What's happening?" Commander Jackson whispered to Lisa. But she had no idea. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. Then Zaraketh found her voice. "Human Lisa," she said formally. "Do you understand the meaning of what you wear?" Lisa touched the flower in her hair nervously. "Mirasil gave it to me as a gift. I thought it would be respectful to wear it." A sound went round the table from the other aliens. Something like a collective intake of breath. Zaraketh's skin shifted to deep purple, which Lisa had learned meant serious concern. "On our world," Zaraketh said slowly, "that flower is given only once in a lifetime. To wear it publicly is to announce your acceptance of a life bond." Lisa felt the blood drain from her face. "A life bond. What you might call marriage," Zaraketh explained gently. The dining hall erupted into chaos. The human diplomats started talking all at once, while the aliens engaged in rapid conversations in their own language. Lisa stood frozen in the middle of it all, her hand still touching the flower that had suddenly become so much more significant. "I didn't know," Lisa said, her voice barely audible over the commotion. "I didn't understand what it meant." Commander Jackson was beside her immediately, his face pale with concern. "We need to fix this right now. This could be an international incident." But when Lisa looked across the table at Mirasil, she saw something that made her heart break. The alien's skin had gone completely gray, a color that Lisa had learned meant deep sadness or shame. Mirasil was staring down at her hands, no longer meeting anyone's eyes. "Everyone please calm down," Dr. Rodriguez, the chief diplomat, called out. "Let's discuss this rationally." But Zaraketh was already standing, her formal posture indicating that this had become an official matter. "Council member Mirasil has violated several protocols by engaging in bonding rituals without proper approval, and the human has publicly accepted these advances without understanding their meaning." "What advances?" Lisa asked desperately. "We're just friends. I didn't mean to." "The embrace ritual," Zaraketh explained, "the gift exchanges, the movement displays, and now the life flower acceptance. These are the traditional stages of our bonding ceremony." Lisa felt like the world was spinning around her. Every friendly gesture, every hug, every gift she had accepted, it had all meant something completely different to Mirasil's people. She had been accidentally participating in an alien wedding ceremony without realizing it. "I need to talk to Mirasil," Lisa said urgently. "I need to explain." "That may not be possible," Zaraketh replied. "She has brought shame to our delegation by misreading your intentions. The proper course now is separation and formal apologies." "No," Lisa said firmly, surprising everyone including herself. She didn't misread anything. "I misunderstood, and I'm not going to let her take the blame for my ignorance." Commander Jackson pulled Lisa aside, his expression grave. "Lisa, this is bigger than just a personal misunderstanding now. We're talking about diplomatic relations between two species. If we handle this wrong, it could affect everything we've worked for." Lisa looked around the room at all the concerned faces, both human and alien. But her eyes kept returning to Mirasil, who sat alone at the end of the table, her skin still that awful gray color. "Then we better handle it right," Lisa said quietly. She carefully removed the glowing flower from her hair and held it gently in her hands. The light flickered weakly, as if it was dying. Around the table, everyone watched her in complete silence, waiting to see what she would do next. Lisa took a deep breath and walked slowly toward Mirasil. Each step felt like the most important one of her life. Behind her, she could hear Commander Jackson starting to object, but Dr. Rodriguez stopped him. "Mirasil," Lisa said softly when she reached the alien's chair. "Look at me, please." Slowly, Mirasil raised her eyes. They were filled with a sadness so deep that Lisa felt it like a physical pain in her chest. "I need you to know," Lisa said, clearly, making sure her words would carry to everyone in the room, "that everything that happened between us happened because I care about you. Not in the way you hoped, but genuinely and deeply. And that's not something to be ashamed of." The flower in Lisa's hands pulsed once, brightly, and then its light began to fade. But for just that moment, it had burned as brilliantly as a star. The emergency meeting took place in a small conference room. That felt too cramped for such a massive problem. Lisa sat across from Dr. Rodriguez, who looked like she had aged 10 years in the past hour. Commander Jackson paced back and forth behind them, occasionally muttering under his breath about diplomatic disasters. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Dr. Rodriguez said, reading from her tablet with growing disbelief. Every single friendly gesture Lisa made was actually part of their marriage ceremony, Dr. Chen. They're specialists in alien behavior. Nodded grimly, according to the cultural database that Zarketh just shared with us, yes. The initial embrace activates what they call the bonding sequence. Each subsequent gift exchange and physical contact moves the ceremony forward. Lisa felt sick to her stomach, so when I hugged her the second time, "You essentially said yes to a marriage proposal," Dr. Chen confirmed. "And when you accepted and wore the life flower in public, you announced your engagement to their entire species." Commander Jackson stopped pacing and turned to face them. "How did we miss this? We've been preparing for first contact for decades. How did nobody think to research their relationship customs?" "Because we focused on formal diplomatic protocols," Dr. Rodriguez admitted. "We never expected personal relationships to develop so quickly or to be so different from our own customs." Lisa stared down at her hands, which still smelled faintly of the life flower's strange perfume. "Where is Mirasil now?" "Confined to her quarters," Commander Jackson said. "Zarketh says she violated several major cultural laws by initiating a bonding ceremony with someone from another species without permission from their council." "That's not fair," Lisa said angrily. "She didn't know I didn't understand. I was giving her every signal that I was interested from her perspective." Dr. Chen pulled up more data on her screen. "It gets worse. In their culture, public rejection of a life bond is considered one of the most shameful things that can happen to someone. Mirasil's career as a diplomat is probably over." The weight of that statement hit Lisa like a physical blow. "Because of something that was completely my fault. Technically, it was both of your faults," Dr. Rodriguez said gently, "but that doesn't make the consequences any less real." Lisa stood up abruptly, knocking her chair back. "I need to talk to her." "Absolutely not," Commander Jackson said immediately. "Any contact between you two right now could make this situation even worse." "Worse?" Lisa laughed bitterly. "How could it possibly get worse? I've accidentally gotten engaged to an alien, ruined her career, and probably damaged relations between our species. What else could go wrong? You could start an interstellar war," Commander Jackson said bluntly. "Zarketh mentioned that some members of their council back home consider what happened to be a form of cultural assault." The room fell silent. Lisa had never imagined that her simple acts of friendship could have such far-reaching consequences. She thought about Mirasil, alone in her quarters, probably believing that Lisa had deliberately misled her. "There has to be something we can do," Lisa said quietly. "Some way to fix this." Dr. Chen looked up from her research. "Actually, there might be. I've been reading about their conflict resolution customs. They have something called a truth ceremony, where both parties can explain their intentions publicly." "Like a trial?" Commander Jackson asked. "More like mediation. Both sides present their understanding of what happened, and the community decides how to move forward. But Lisa would have to participate willingly, and she'd have to be completely honest about her feelings and intentions." Lisa didn't hesitate. "I'll do it, Lisa. Think about what you're agreeing to," Dr. Rodriguez warned. "You'd be submitting to judgment by an alien legal system that we barely understand. There could be serious consequences." "There are already serious consequences," Lisa replied. "At least this way, Mirasil gets a chance to defend herself." The truth ceremony was scheduled for the next evening. Lisa spent the entire day preparing, working with Dr. Chen and the cultural team to understand the complex ritual involved. She would have to speak without the translation device, using the basic alien language she had been learning. Every word had to be precise, because misunderstandings had already caused enough damage. When the time came, Lisa walked into the main conference hall to find it transformed. The lights had been dimmed and arranged in patterns that had meaning. In alien culture, the delegation sat in a semicircle, their skin colors muted and formal. Miracil sat alone in the center, her skin pale gray, looking smaller and more fragile than Lisa had ever seen her. Zaraketh began the ceremony with a long speech about the importance of truth and understanding between species. Then she turned to Lisa. Human Lisa, you must speak your truth without deception or confusion. Why did you participate in our bonding ceremony if you did not wish to be bound? Lisa took a deep breath and stepped forward. She had practiced this speech dozens of times, but now, looking at Miracil's downcast face, the prepared words seemed inadequate. I participated because I valued Miracil's friendship. Lisa began in careful, slow alien speech. On my world, the gestures I made mean friendship and caring, nothing more. I did not know they meant something different to your people, but you continued these gestures even after receiving bonding gifts. Another council member pointed out. Did you not question their meaning? Lisa felt heat rise in her cheeks. I did question them, but I thought they were expressions of friendship. I was happy that someone from another world wanted to be my friend. I didn't want to reject that connection by questioning it too deeply. She paused and looked directly at Miracil, who finally raised her eyes to meet Lisa's gaze. I need Miracil to know that even though I didn't understand the true meaning of what was happening, every kindness I showed her was genuine. I cared about her happiness and well-being. I still do. Miracil's skin flickered with the faintest hint of gold, so brief that Lisa almost missed it. Then it was Miracil's turn to speak. She stood slowly, her movements uncertain. I believe Lisa understood our ways because her responses were perfect, Miracil said. Her voice barely audible, every gesture, every acceptance, every kindness followed our bonding customs exactly. I thought she was choosing me with full knowledge. Why did you not seek council approval before beginning the ceremony? Zaraketh asked. Miracil's skin flushed with shame. Because I feared you would forbid it. I had never felt such connection with another being, and I was afraid that if I waited for official permission, the moment would pass. Lisa felt her heart break a little. She had been so focused on her own confusion that she hadn't fully considered what Miracil must have been feeling. The hope, the excitement, the fear of rejection. I understand now that my actions caused great confusion and pain, Miracil continued. I accept full responsibility for not ensuring that Lisa understood what was happening. No, Lisa said, stepping forward before anyone could stop her. We both made mistakes, but this isn't just her fault. I should have asked more questions when things seemed unusual. We both acted with good intentions but incomplete knowledge. The room fell silent as the council members considered both testimonies. Their skin colors shifted through various shades as they communicated in ways Lisa couldn't understand. Finally, Zaraketh stood. This ceremony has revealed a truth that affects both our species. We must learn to communicate more clearly about our customs to prevent future misunderstandings. But the question remains, what do we do about the bonding ceremony that has already begun? Lisa looked at Miracil, who was watching her with an expression of hope and terror. The fate of their friendship, and possibly much more, hung in the balance of whatever happened next. The council's decision came after 3 hours of deliberation that felt like 3 years to Lisa. She had been asked to wait in her quarters while they discussed the situation, but sitting alone in the small room only made her anxiety worse. She kept thinking about Miracil's face during the truth ceremony, the mixture of hope and fear in her large eyes. When Commander Jackson finally came to get her, his expression was unreadable. Well, Lisa asked immediately, it's complicated, he said, but it's not the disaster we thought it might be. Back in the conference hall, Zaraketh stood waiting with what Lisa had learned to recognize as her formal announcement posture. The other council members sat behind her, their skin colors more neutral than they had been earlier. Human Lisa. Zaraketh began. The council has reached a decision about the incomplete bonding ceremony between you and council member Miracil. Lisa's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. We have determined that this situation occurred due to a lack of proper cultural education, not from any intent to deceive or harm. Therefore, we propose a new path forward. Lisa glanced at Mirasil, who sat nearby with her skin a hopeful silver color. The bonding ceremony will be officially dissolved with honor for both parties. Zaraketh continued, but we also recognize that a genuine connection formed between you, even base. On misunderstanding, we propose that you work together to create educational materials about cross-species interaction. Educational materials? Lisa repeated. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. They want you and Mirasil to develop a comprehensive guide for preventing this kind of misunderstanding in the future. It would be the first collaboration of its kind. Lisa felt a surge of hope. Does that mean Mirasil wouldn't be punished? Council member Mirasil showed poor judgment, Zaraketh admitted, but she also demonstrated the importance of cross-cultural understanding. Her punishment will be to help prevent similar situations from occurring. It wasn't exactly what Lisa had hoped for, but it was so much better than she had feared. I accept, she said immediately. When do we start? The project began the very next day. Lisa and Mirasil were given a small office in the cultural wing of the station, equipped with computers, translation devices, and access to both species databases. At first, working together was awkward. Both of them were hyper-aware of every gesture, every word, every moment they spent in the same room. I want you to know, Lisa said on their first morning, that I really am sorry about the misunderstanding. I never wanted to hurt you. Mirasil's skin flickered with pale blue, which Lisa had learned meant sadness mixed with acceptance. I am sorry too. I should have explained our customs better instead of assuming you understood. Maybe we can make sure this never happens to anyone else, Lisa suggested. Their first task was to catalog every gesture, gift, and interaction that had been misinterpreted. It was embarrassing to go through it all again, but also educational. Lisa was amazed to learn how many human behaviors had specific meanings in alien culture. And Mirasil was equally surprised to discover how different the same actions could be interpreted. When you touched my shoulder that first day, Mirasil explained, it indicated that you were claiming the right to offer comfort. That's usually only done by family members or potential mates on Earth. It just means you care about someone's feelings, Lisa replied. We touch people's shoulders, arms, hands. It's just a way of showing support. They spent weeks documenting these differences, creating charts and guides that would help future diplomats avoid similar problems. But as they worked together, something unexpected began to happen. Their friendship started to grow back, stronger, and more honest than before. Without the pressure of misunderstood romantic gestures, they could simply enjoy each other's company. Lisa learned about Mirasil's childhood on a planet with 3 suns, where she had studied languages and dreamed of meeting beings from other worlds. Mirasil learned about Lisa's work, studying communication between species, and her lifelong fascination with the possibility of alien contact. I spent my whole career preparing to meet people like you, Lisa admitted one afternoon as they worked on a section about gift-giving customs. But I never prepared for actually liking someone this much. Mirasil's skin brightened with genuine gold, not the intense, romantic gold of before, but the warm, gentle gold that meant happiness and contentment. I had the same problem. I was so focused on following the proper diplomatic protocols that I forgot how to just be friends with someone. 3 months into their project, they received news that changed everything. The cultural guide they were creating had attracted attention from both governments. Leaders from both species wanted to expand the project into a full cultural exchange program, with Lisa and Mirasil as the directors. It would mean permanent positions, Commander Jackson explained during their briefing. Lisa, you be the first human ambassador for interspecies cultural relations. And Mirasil, your people want to make you the head of their new cross-cultural studies department. Lisa looked at Mirasil, who was practically glowing with excitement. What do you think? I think, Mirasil said carefully, that we make a good team, even when we completely misunderstand each other. The program was officially launched 6 months later with a ceremony attended by representatives from both worlds. Lisa and Miracil presented their completed cultural guide, now expanded into a comprehensive manual for interspecies interaction. But the most meaningful moment came later. During the private celebration with just their close colleagues, Miracil approached Lisa with something in her hands, another gift. Lisa tensed for a moment, then relaxed when she saw what it was, a small crystal, similar to the singing ones from months ago, but this one was different. Instead of glowing, it projected tiny holographic images when touched, pictures of their work together, moments from their friendship, memories of their collaboration. This is a memory crystal, Miracil explained. It's what we give to commemorate important friendships. Are you sure? Lisa asked. After everything that happened with gifts before, Miracil's skin flickered with what Lisa now recognized as gentle amusement. I'm sure. And just to be completely clear, this is a friendship gift, nothing more, nothing less. Lisa accepted the crystal with a smile. Thank you for the gift, and for specifying what it means. I learned my lesson about being clear with my intentions, Miracil said, years later, when Lisa published her memoir about the early days of human-alien relations. She included a dedication to Miracil, but she also included something else, a detailed appendix listing every cultural misunderstanding they had documented, complete with explanations and prevention strategies. The book became required reading for all diplomatic personnel from both species. But more importantly, it helped establish protocols that prevented other friendships from getting lost in translation. Lisa kept the memory crystal on her desk in her new office, at the Interspecies Cultural Center, sometimes when she was working late on new projects to improve understanding between different worlds. She would touch it and watch the little holographic images dance in the air. They reminded her that even the biggest mistakes could lead to the most important discoveries, and that friendship really was universal. You just had to learn the right language to express it. The glowing flower from that first misunderstanding was preserved in the center's museum, along with a plaque that read, "In memory of our first great misunderstanding, and in celebration of all the understanding that followed."